Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network, website thisweekinamerica.us. As promised on the program today, talking about, boy, this is such a big decision for a family, not just the student that's about to go off to college, but the family as well. The book is called Life's Little College Admissions Insight, Top Tips from the country's most acclaimed guidance counselors, written by Eric and Cole Yaverbaum. And Cole is with us on the program today, 17-year-old high school student. Cole, welcome to This Week in America. Great to have you with us.
Hi, great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
The book is so informative, and it's really the first read, a must-read for families going through this college selection process. You've taken 7 key questions, and you've asked them of the country's most acclaimed guidance counselors, and we'll get through some of the tips as well. I want to talk about your own personal case, because as I understand, and you write in the book, your first basically college experience in looking around a college campus and really thinking seriously about it sort of happened by mistake. You were waiting on a train, and all of a sudden you're walking around the college, and that really made a big impression on you.
It really did, and it was. I almost regret it because I've just never felt the same way about any other college since, which is actually one of our tips in the book. You know, it says don't visit your first college choice first because inevitably every other school will fall short of how great you thought that one was.
Yeah, and you really looked around and you enjoyed that. And this was, I mentioned the sophomore year. Let's talk about the junior year. And in the book, Life's Little College Admissions Insights, you have a timeline when you should really start doing what and really start focusing. This started basically in your junior year, but I want to go back even before that. As you were sort of thinking, okay, I want to go to college, I'd like to study whatever. When did you really start thinking about what you were looking for in a college?
It's really something that you have to go visit colleges to understand. You can't just think about college and say, oh, this is what I want in a college when you've never seen one. I think it's visiting colleges is just really crucial. So after I started visiting some, I began to see patterns in what I liked about colleges, and I found that I was more attracted to, the smaller, more liberal arts, nice campuses, those kind of schools. That was just a pattern for me. So that's really how you have to start. You need to look at colleges.
And I know collegeclicktv.com. That's the website I will give you. You can get information on the book there as well. You can link onto our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and get information on the book as well. And you can find out where to order the book and get more information on Cole and the book, Life's Little College Admission Insight. But collegeclicktv.com, that gave you some insight without basically leaving your house to give you some idea what you were looking for.
Yeah, it's an excellent resource. My dad was working on the website, so, he wanted me to take a look at it because he was working on it for business. I was about to start the college process, so we thought that would be cool, and it was extremely helpful. You can go on the website. You can actually compare colleges directly next to each other just for basic stats to see how they compare to each other, SAT scores, types of food, types of people, everything. And then what you can do is click on a college of the hundreds they have, and you'll see video clips of kids who actually go to the college, and it's just like the most real and uncensored website you can find, and it really gives you like a great perception of what the students really feel about the college. So I did use that before I actually visited, and then just to get some ideas about what students really thought about colleges, and I'm actually still using it now because even after having visited, decided where I want to apply, it's still helpful to go on the website just to get impressions of schools because you never know until you really go.
Winter break of that junior year, you decided to go off with family, the first round of visits, and you really came up with some very good tips from doing that. You realize, I'm going to see a lot of colleges. I really need to observe, and I need to record what I'm observing. You say it's very important to sort of keep a running record of your impressions at the time of that particular campus.
Yeah, that's so imperative. If you don't keep a list, you're going to forget the different qualities in schools like that because I saw probably at least 20 schools, and if I hadn't kept a list of like what I thought was good in this school and what I thought was bad in another school, I would have never been able to sit down this summer and write my essays and answer these questions. Schools want to know what do you like about us? And if I hadn't taken notes, I wouldn't have remembered.
And you say school, you use collegeclicktv.com, but you also, the school websites you say were very helpful as well in giving you an idea before and a refresher afterwards in understanding that college.
Yeah, definitely, especially for schools I hadn't visited that I needed to do more research on. But the thing is that visiting really shows colleges how much you care about them because the process is interesting. You think that you're just trying to sell yourself to colleges, but at the same time, they want to sell themselves to you. They need to know that you really care about them, that you really want to go to that you're really interested in them, and the only way to really do that is point out what you think is special about each individual college.
You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Cole Yaberbaum is our guest on the program. She's 17 years old, a college or a high school senior, about to be a college freshman in a not too distant future. Co-wrote with her father Eric, a PR executive, Life's Little College Admissions Insights, an excellent book, Top Tips from the country's most acclaimed guidance counselors. One of the things I found interesting is at the end of the junior year, you felt, okay, this is the time to go back, talk to my teachers, have them prepare their references for me. And one reason being the junior year, it's a pretty good year. I'm going to be fresh in the memory of these teachers. They can probably do the best job of writing the reference after the junior year.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's because, you've had these teachers all year. This is your year before senior year when you've probably done a lot of growth, at least for me, because I took the hardest classes. That was the first year I really took really hard classes. So I felt like my teachers from junior year really knew me. And in addition, they need a lot of time to reflect on you. You want to give them time to think about, what's good about you, and really have time to write a thorough and true reference for you. And if I had waited till this year, I would have asked my teachers to write me recommendations, but they've only known me for a couple months and my applications were due, so I don't think they would have really been able to paint a good picture of who I am as much as my junior year teachers could.
In the book, you talk about, and you've got tips from some of the top guidance counselors in the country. How much do you rely on, and relying now on, guidance counselors? How important are they as a partner in trying to find the right college?
Well, I think it's really important. I guess it depends what school you go to, but, you can tell how much guidance counselors know just from reading the tips in this book. That's their job. They're educated on the college process. They've seen it happen before. They know the best way to go about things, which is really what I'm trying to learn myself. And for me, I have a really close relationship with my guidance counselor. I don't think I would have been able to do anything without him. He helped me so much. I go and see him all the time. And it's really just like your personal college friend, I guess, who can help you stay organized and on track because there's so much you don't know.
You can be overwhelmed by several things. The testing you need to go through, the application process, the essay process. Let's talk about testing. What tests should you take and what timeline should you take these tests?
Well, I did put in the back of the book a timeline which says the specific months when they offer different tests. But aside from that, I would suggest that you begin studying for the SATs the beginning of your junior year. Some kids really like to start earlier, and that's fine. There's really no wrong time to start, but I think later than the beginning of your junior year might start to get stressful. So I'd suggest starting your studying then, whatever form your studying takes, tutoring, independent study, however you're going to go about it, and sign up for an SAT a couple months after you started studying, not to determine your final score, just to see how the test goes for you, see if you like it, if that's a good test for you. And after that, keep studying and see what sections you were weak in, what you were strong in, see what you need to improve, and take it again. And if that doesn't go well, you can always take it again. With score choice these days, you can really take the SATs as many times as you want. And in addition, I definitely recommend buying a book on the ACTs because for me that completely helped me out because I was not a huge fan of the SATs. I took the ACT and really liked it.
And the Common Application website, that's something that's different from the time that our two kids were looking off to colleges. It sounds like it makes it fairly simple. The
Common Application website is great. I don't even know what I would have done without it because, aside from one or two schools I've applied to that have separate applications, which are easy to follow anyways, the Common App is amazing. Basically, you log on, you search for schools that you're interested in, you add them to your profile, you click on it, it gives you a checklist of the things you need for that school, including, your payment, your just basic information, which is just applied to all the schools. You only have to fill that out once, and it gets sent to all the schools. And then certain schools have what's called a supplement, which is an additional piece of writing, in addition to your Common Application essay, which gets sent to all the schools, which is essentially where you write about anything that you want.
Now, your essay, and you've got a sample of one of the essays in the book, Life's Little College Admission Insight. By the way, you're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Book is Life's Little College Admissions Highlights, Top Tips from the country's most acclaimed guidance counselors, co-written by Eric and Cole Yaberbaum. And Cole, 17-year-old high school student, is with us on the program today to give her insight in that really exciting experience and can be an intimidating experience looking for that college. The essay you wrote, and you used some of the tips from the guidance counselors, wrote a very touching essay devoted to your mother.
Yeah, I think that the most important thing with your essay is to, you just have, that's your real chance to show the admissions officers who you are, because other than that, I mean, it's just grades and facts about you, but if you want to really show them your voice, it needs to really come through in the essay. So, guidance counselors will suggest that you write about something that means a lot to you, that just kind of shows your personality, which is what I tried to do.
You put the schools in three lists. Let's talk about those: safety schools, target schools, and reaches. Let's start with safety schools, and some people even call them financial safety schools. Talk about the colleges you put in there, the criteria you use to put those in that category.
Well, yeah, what you want to do is make sure that your list includes like a wide range of schools. So you need to make sure you have what are called safeties, and these include schools that you have a very good chance of getting into, where if you were to apply tomorrow, you think you'd get in because your grades match the school's grades, what they want. Your SAT scores are in line with what the school wants, and it's called a safety because you're pretty sure you'll get into it, and that's important to have because if your other schools don't work out for you, then you might have to fall back on your safety schools. And then that could also include financial safeties, which mean schools that are not necessarily your first choice, but if you had to go there, you could definitely afford it because there are a lot of tips relating to the economy these days, and there's really nothing sure about it, so that's kind of important, I think.
Well, among the tips with some of the guidance counselors, and this is something I can remember when ours were looking at private schools, it's like, don't be afraid of private schools because you really need to understand the financial packages, financial aid packages we can put together, scholarships, grants, loans, that type of thing. And in many cases, it ends up costing you less than a public school, so you shouldn't close the door on private school based solely on cost.
No, absolutely not. There are so many different ways to get financial aid these days. I'm actually looking into it right now, and there are so many different opportunities for scholarships you would never even have thought of. Many schools they'll meet all of your need. A lot of those small private schools, as long as you demonstrate need, then it's really available. They have a lot of money.
By the way, in the back of the book, resources, a whole lot of information there, including links to financial aid, scholarship websites that what Cole is talking about. You can go right to these sites and look and see what money is available. Let's go back now to target schools. What's the criteria you use to put a school in that category?
A target school is just above a safety. Your criteria might also match. Maybe your criteria is a little above what they're looking for, or a little below. It's just around. They're schools that you think you have a good chance of getting into, but they're never certain, like safety schools, which are, a lot more certain than targets. There's schools you'd be happy at that you think you have a good chance of getting into, but of course it's never certain. And then last we have reaches, which are your dream schools that, you don't know if you'd ever get into them, but you'd love to go, and why not just apply because the college process is so uncertain sometimes, you just never know.
One of the tips you have is use your summer wisely. And when you think about it, because you mentioned in the book how, boy, that last year, even 2 years of high school goes by so quickly. Don't waste the summer. Use that to your advantage.
Yeah, it's really important. The summer before your senior year, for me at least, I had a ton of schoolwork. I really focused on my work that year. I got that done, and then I thought about how my senior year was just going to be so busy. It was all going to come at me at once. So I started my essays, and I found that the fall of my senior year was completely unclustered because, a lot of my friends were still writing their essays, but I was mostly done with them because I really got a lot done over the summer.
A good tip in the book, Life's Little College Admissions Insight, is the grades that count are 9 through 11, and that's something good for parents to know so they can get their student to focus on it, something for the student to know that 9, 10, 11, these are crucial years that will determine to a great impact where you go to college.
Yeah, it's definitely important. I think that's not to say that the years before that aren't important. I think that, in middle school, maybe 6th through 8th grade, those years matter because that's when you're really learning how to be a good student. But once you get to 9th grade, that's when the grades really start to matter in terms of college because that will go in your transcript and that will carry through to your senior year and ultimately determine your average.
One of the guidance counselors said, it's if you've got a college you'd really like to get into, but you're sort of afraid maybe because of grades, finances, whatever, you can always start at another college and then after a year transfer. And that seems like really practical advice.
Yeah, it's a really interesting option for kids who are really, in love with one school, don't have a great chance of getting in as of now, but would like to try hard for one more year. You can definitely do that.
Right.
Great option.
We've got about a minute left. Cole Yaverbaum, who is the co-author of the books, Life's Little College Admissions Insight. And by the way, go to collegeclicktv.com to get insight on colleges and get information on the book. Tell me where you stand right now. You've applied. You're in that process now. What will happen for you in the next couple of months?
Yes. Well, I sent in a couple applications around November. As I said before, I did apply early decision and was deferred, which means that I just wait till the regular. I'm now in the pool with all the regular applicants. So I sent in about 11 more regular applications. I'm now just waiting to hear back from them, which I expect to do in. I'll expect to hear back in, I think, around March. So right now I'm just working on financial aid.
So basically, at this point, you've done all the work. You're just sitting back and possibly get accepted several, and then you'll have to make a decision where you want to go. And I assume financial aid will have an impact on that as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll get accepted to multiple schools, and then, yeah, making the decision might be a hard part too. But, yeah, I'm just waiting right now.
The book is excellent. It walks you through the process. The nice thing about it, as you can tell in listening to Cole, is you sort of go through her process step by step. It's good for parents. It's good for students to go through. The book is Life's Little College Admissions Insights. You can go to the website collegeclicktv.com. Cole, thank you for joining us on This Week in America.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, that